Hi, this is Evan. I'm your host for Wine Couch TV, and this week we're going to get off of San Francisco, get on a plane, and hop on over to Iberia. When I say Iberia, most people think Spain, but today we're actually going to go to Portugal. Now, Portugal for most people connotes a single wine, and that is, of course, the first four letters of the country, which is port. And we're going to stay in that particular area, the Douro Valley, where port grapes are grown and port wine is made, but we're going to focus in on a different style of wine coming out of there today. Recently, over the past, I'd say, decade and a half, you're seeing more and more dry red wines coming out of this area that's traditionally been known for its fortified sweet wines. And these wines, known as Douro Reds, focus on the primary grapes that you use to make port. So not household names, but these would be grapes like Touriga Nacional, Tinta Cao, Touriga Franca, etc. So you've got a number of grapes that don't roll off the tongue, but collectively are known for producing some wonderful, rich, and very powerful wines. Historically, as I said, we think of them as port, but what we've started to see is that they can make wonderful, age-worthy and delicious table wines that not only go well at your table, not only provide complexity, but can also age in your cellar for those of you who do cellar for decades at a time. I thought what would be interesting would be to show you two extremes. So we're going to be looking at one wine today, the first one, which is an everyday price point, and one which is a splurge. So sort of the two extremes of approachability, age-worthiness, but again within the same family of great producing grapes that make wonderful both sweet and dry wines. The first wine we're tasting today is the 2005 vintage of Domini. Now, Domini is produced by a house or a producer by the name of Jose Maria de Fonseca. And de Fonseca is known more for another wine called Periquita and a series of blends and wines they make closer to the town of Lisbon. And this is their first sort of sojourn effort up into the Douro. Their style has always been known for authentic, for typical of the grape of the area, but also for approachability. And I've had this wine before and know that it delivers on all of those fronts. Right off the top, I get a nice note of sort of a blue-black plum character of fruit. I get a lot of black raspberry, almost a boysenberry character, a slight smattering of oak and oak spice in there without being overly dominant, but not necessarily that sort of grip and astringency and bigness that you would expect from a more Van de Garde or an age-worthy style of wine. Having said that, this is no wimpy wine. The wine is medium to full-bodied. It has a wonderful texture to it. It has a beautiful, again, sort of a black raspberry, boysenberry, black plum character of fruit. There's an interesting spice element to it, and just a nice sort of dusty earth undertone on the back. It's long, it has tannin, but not necessarily gripping tannin, more of sort of a soft pulling tannin, and is approachable now. It's definitely a drink now and in the next couple of years wine, and again, at that sort of everyday price point, absolutely validates the fact that you should go out and buy a few bottles. The second wine that we're going to have is simply labeled VT, and it's an 05, and that's the name. It's a proprietary wine. It comes in a bottle that literally, if you tried to lift the thing, will give you a hernia. It's very, very heavy, and it's a deep, concentrated wine. Once again, made from Touriga Nacional, Tinta Cao, Touriga Franca, and all the classic grapes that you see there. But right off the bat, it's hard to tell for you, but I can see that the color has probably double the extraction that the first wine had, and the nose has double the intensity. I'm getting a lot. First of all, I'm getting a sweetness of oak, and obviously there's pedigreed quality oak in this wine that's giving it sort of a molasses caramel back note to it. I'm getting a little bit of tea leaf. I'm getting some, again, black plum fruit, and just sort of a hint of peppery squash. On the palate, it's big, it's rough. It's raw, not so much because it's a crude wine, but it's a baby. This is a particular bottle of wine that I'll probably take it home and leave it on the table and have it tomorrow for dinner. But it's clearly a wine of great stature, of great pedigree, of great breed, with wonderful length, tremendous body, and expansive, almost peacock's tail-like finish. With these kinds of wines, these Touriga Nacional-based Douro Reds, you really want big, rich red fare. So anything from standing prime rib to a wonderful grilled ribeye or New York steak that you've tossed on the grill or barbecue, to a roast leg of lamb, sort of rich, hearty, meatier fare. It's not going to really go well with fish or anything floating in the sea. However, that lighter style wine could probably hang in there with some more richer poultry, awful things like sweetbreads and liver. That wine would be just delightful for those of you who love calf's liver, and I know there are some of you out there that do. Anyway, an area of wine that's probably not necessarily on your radar screen right now, but definitely worth checking out. Douro wines are starting to get the accolades that they deserve, right up there with great Bordeaux's, great Napa Valley Cabernets, now great Douro Reds. Before we go, our Wine Couch word of the week this week is, you're going to love this one, bastardo. Now, bastardo is not, as you would think, a sort of unfathered grape, an unhappy grape or anything like that. But bastardo is one of the grapes that you do find in Portugal. It's a red grape, and historically it's found its way into a number of red blends, including port and including these dry Douro Reds that we just tasted. Having said that, it's not necessarily known as much for its breed as it probably is for its name. And Portugal has gradually narrowed the family of grapes used for port from a lot down to 40, from 40 down to a dozen, and now it's essentially 5 or 6 grapes. Occasionally people will still use a little bit of bastardo, but you'll see it more in table wines than you will in true port. And the reason I put it in for the Wine Couch word of the week is, who doesn't like saying bastardo? Until next time, you take care. Go out and try out these wines. I promise you, you won't be disappointed, and have a good steak with them. Till then, take care.